Arsenal are up and running. 3 points on the board, 3 points at Old Trafford. We'll take it. We'll take it and run. Let's be honest, right? It was not our best performance. It was stressful to watch at times, but Old Trafford opening game of the season is not the most pleasant way to start. And we've done it. We've completed it on a day where, Chelsea dropped 2 points to Crystal Palace at home. So, yeah, very happy. We'll talk through it where it went right, which ultimately resulted in 3 points, but where there's room for improvement for sure, and why it became such a stressful watch. Before we do that, if I could just ask you to subscribe. We're on the way to 23,000 subscribers, and if I could ask you to like the video, that would be massively, massively appreciated. But look, let's get into it. We won. This is the main thing I needed to say right off the bat. You look online right now, you think we lost the game. You would think we lost the game. There's so much negativity, and I get it from a certain standpoint in terms of the performance, and I think part of that is because people really thought we were just going to steamroll Man United because they think it's the same United as last season or whatever. But, I think you come out of there with 3 points any season. We didn't last season. So, yeah, happy days. We won. Let's not be negative, but we can constructively talk through, some of the difficulties. Now, in terms of the lineup, I was very, very happy with the lineup, other than I think I had Timber in for White in my 11 that I would have gone for, but couldn't make any complaints about it whatsoever. Obviously, Victor Gyökeres gets his start. And then in terms of the bench, actually, few interesting ones on there. Obviously, Mosquera on the bench, no Jakub Kiwior. So I think that's a big signal in terms of possibly selling Jakub Kiwior. Mars Lewis-Skelly on there, alongside Jurriën Timber, and no Norgard either. So I don't know. Obviously, Skelly came on as a sub. I don't know if he was maybe in there as potentially a midfield option as well. Marino, Waneri, Trossard, Madueke, Havertz. So no room for Max Dowman, unfortunately. Trossard, an unused sub. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Obviously, loads of players in terms of Zinchenko, Fabio Vieira, etc. missing out. Again, a signal to them that it's probably time to move on. Now, in terms of the game itself, these were the headline stats, and they reflected what we saw. Manchester United had the better of the game. They had more possession, but outside of the possession that they had, we've had games in the past where teams have a lot of possession against us, but they don't create much, and so we're kind of comfortable with it, right? United were creating chances throughout the game, and I think that was to do with how we were playing, and we'll talk about that. But ultimately, we showed a lot of fight. We did show a lot of grit, and I don't want that to be kind of swept under the rug. That it's going to Old Trafford is tough. It's hostile. On opening day, there were definitely nerves, but we did dig deep. Gabriel was one of those players that I thought stood tall, and for that I'm very happy. And it's cliche, but was it a performance of champions? Not to speak too soon, but in terms of digging deep, winning even when you don't play that well, I was relatively happy with it. In terms of the performance, though, Victor Gyökeres started and struggled, and I think he's going to get a lot of backlash for that performance. I don't think it was as bad as people are making out. A couple of moments for sure, he looks clumsy, but the biggest issue for me was that we really didn't play to his strengths at all. So the United set up as we assumed that they would, with a back 3/5. And instantly that makes it difficult for Victor Gyökeres because the central centre-back can effectively just man-mark him. And he's not great when he's man-marked and you're going high and long to him because it is one of his weaknesses. That was pointed out before he joined. It's not unknown. And De Ligt was having a bit of a field day when it came to that. Now, in a back two, what Victor Gyökeres could do is drag one of the centre-backs wide and create up space in the middle. But the thing with that is, when they're playing a back three, if he goes wide, De Ligt just hands him off to Lenny Yoro at that point, and Dalot's still getting in. So it made it difficult, and we weren't really playing to his strengths, which is channel running. And the way to do that would have been having Saka and Martinelli more narrow. And I spoke about that in the preview. I didn't feel like we did that enough. If you're going to use, as United, De Ligt to man-mark Victor Gyökeres out of the game, bring Saka and Martinelli between their centre-backs, between Shaw and De Ligt, and between Yoro and De Ligt. But we didn't do that. And we were just going long and hoping that Victor Gyökeres could do something. And largely he couldn't. And what that meant was that a lot of the time we were giving the ball straight back to them and allowing them to attack us. But we were still kind of pressing high as well. So we were, it was like a bit of a worst of both worlds in a sense. Like early on, I felt like the way we were playing would have been far more suited to Kai Havertz. And at times, there were actually points where I was thinking, bringing Kai Havertz onto the left wing could have helped us. You know, if you're going to go long like that, if you've got Havertz on the left wing, of course he's not a winger, but if you go long to Havertz and then let Gyökeres run into the channel behind him and Havertz wins the flick-ons, you can stretch them. But we didn't stretch their back line all that much. And then, like I said, it wasn't his best game either. Like when he did get those opportunities, he didn't do a huge amount with them. But yeah, I just felt like it was an interesting way that we tried to play. And it wasn't helped by the fact that when we did get chances, I mean, this was right at the end. When we did get chances, once again, we weren't particularly ruthless with them. And luckily, we were already 1-0 up through that set-piece goal. This was right at the end. Madueke misses a tap-in. This was an opportunity. Lovely little ball from Ødegaard into Saka. It's a good block from De Ligt, in fairness. And this sort of opportunity, this is the sort of opportunity where I really do feel like we need to work. It's a great tackle, actually, by Mason Mount. But, you know, you're 3-on-3, breaking at pace. We need to be more ruthless and more clinical in these sorts of situations, which at the moment we're not. And it will take time. And again, we're trying to be more direct. And at times, I felt like we were almost trying to be too direct too quickly, right? And there is a balance to be found. And at times, it felt like we were rushing the ball forwards a little bit, which is fine. And we will find a balance. But yeah, it all felt a little bit uncoordinated today. Were we lucky not to give away a penalty? Now, United fans think yes. I think, look, I'll tell you what, if it was given on field, it wouldn't have been overturned. And in some ways, I was surprised it wasn't given on field based on the way that Simon Hooper had refereed the game, which was basically every 50-50 I felt he was giving United. And again, that made it really difficult for us to get any sort of a foothold into the game because it felt like I don't want to spend the season complaining about referees again, God, but it did feel like, you know, every time they barged into the back of us, it wasn't a free kick and they could come away with the ball. But every time we touched them, it was a foul. A great example was the Bruno Fernandes dangerous free kick on the edge of the box from Zubimendi, where they've just ran into each other. It wasn't a foul. And then multiple times that happened to like Kai Havertz and we didn't get the free kick. So yeah, it felt like it was a really kind of stop-start, difficult game to grow into. But that wasn't helped by the fact that we were really, really shaky at the back. Unnaturally? Not unnaturally. What word am I looking for? Unusually shaky at the back. Started with David Raya, who I felt looked uncomfortable today. There were a couple of times from really early on where he should have come and claimed the ball. I think there was one where like Ben White headed it back towards him and he should have just come and claimed it at the edge of his box, but he didn't. And then Saliba had to try and deal with it. Obviously, there was this moment where, again, very nearly gave away a penalty against Matheus Cunha. And that kind of breeds fear, I guess. And it was like that a lot. You know, we were just struggling to play it out. And then that meant that we started rushing it. And that kind of fed into going long. And it's like, again, as a combination, you need one or the other, right? You either need to be able to go long and have someone that can hold the ball up well, like Kai Havertz, or be comfortable playing out from the back. And we didn't have either of those today. That said, on David Raya, the flip side of David Raya is that he's a bloody good goalkeeper. He is a fantastic goalkeeper. And this save from Matheus Cunha, now, I don't know if it was squeezing into the bottom corner or not. The reactions to get down as quickly as he did were absolutely phenomenal. He made that save from Mbuemo as well. But one crucial thing he did that was genuinely the difference maker in the game was there was a corner. Or maybe it was from when they had a free kick near the corner flag. But either way, the ball was dropped in right on top of him, right? And he punches it. I mean, he's great at coming and claiming the ball anyway, but he punches it away. And it was so similar to Bayinde, where he's flapped at it, open, palmed it away, tried to palm it away. Terrible goalkeeping, and that's genuinely the difference in the game between the two of them. And this is where, we do have quality all over the pitch. In terms of the rest of the players, Ben White, I thought, had a good game. It's weird, right? Looking at social media after the game, I think there's a lot of people running agendas, if I'm honest. Like, I thought Ben White had a really good game. There were a couple of moments that he struggled in. There was one where Matheus Cunha goes on an unbelievable run. Matheus Cunha is a fantastic player who has incredible running power. So, yeah, all right, Ben White struggled in that moment. Many other players would. In general, I thought he had a good game. You look online, half people are saying he had a good game. Half people are saying he had an absolutely terrible game and should be nowhere near our starting lineup. I think there are a lot of people who would rather be proved correct, basically, than actually be honest. And Ben White isn't the only player that's kind of been on the receiving end of that. Saliba, again, did look a little bit shaky at times, but at other times looked absolutely imperious, as he does. The combination of him and Gabriel, it's a clean sheet to start the season, albeit we did ride our luck a couple of times. Dorgu hitting the post. Calafiori, I love him. Oh, I love him. I really do. I really hope he stays fit this season. Obviously, he gets the goal, but the way that he marauds into midfield, actually his technical ability on the ball, I think Arteta spoke glowingly about him after the game, spoke about the sort of presence that he has in the dressing room, his ability to lift everyone, really give everyone energy. So that was great. Zubimendi was getting a bit of heat, especially in the first half. There were a couple of moments where, again, he did look shaky, but there were a lot of moments where I thought he looked really good, breaking up the play in midfield, made a couple of crucial interceptions. So yeah, a mixed bag. Not his best game, but also by no means his worst game. Rice, I actually thought struggled a little bit today. I felt like it was almost like he couldn't get a foothold in the game in terms of the defensive duties. He was getting caught up high quite a lot. And the way that United were able to spread the ball, they were able to go from sort of right centre back to left wing back very comfortably, very easily. It was meaning that Rice was getting caught out trying to press high, and then being caught out in behind. So he was doing a lot of like chasing back after the ball, and then on the ball, he didn't get much of the ball, to be honest with you. So, yeah, not sure if it was just the game didn't suit him, or if he wasn't fully up to speed. Again, Martin Ødegaard, much like Ben White, I thought he had a really good game. Don't get me wrong, right? There were moments where in transition, like I spoke about us not being ruthless enough, there were times where, he overplayed the passing behind or didn't make the right pass. There was one where he actually got a shot away and it was deflected, but he could have maybe fed it into Saka. But there were also moments where he was absolutely brilliant, including that ball that he did play into Saka that De Ligt made that block. And the way that he led the press, the way he led our team out of possession was absolutely fantastic. But again, you look online, some people talking as if he had an absolutely horrific performance. Like, objectively, he was one of our best players today. There's no way about it. And then the front three we kind of already spoke about. I would like to see us getting Saka into the game more. I did actually see an alarming stat. He's actually scored. He's got one league goal contribution since last November. Now, admittedly, he spent a fair period out injured, but it's still like one in his last 14 games. We do need to get him into the game more, and we spoke about Martinelli and Gyökeres. In terms of the players that came on, Havertz came on, was a real handful. Like, honestly, I was really impressed with his performance when he came on. Madueke, still don't know what to make of him off the left-hand side. And I will say, once again, this game has reaffirmed to me the need for a left winger, like the need to go and get that upgrade, because Martinelli, great defensive work, as you'd expect from him. Cannot ever fault him when it comes to that. But again, there were opportunities. One where we were on the break, he tried to switch it to Ødegaard, just massively overhit it. I think he got one shot off, which ended up basically being a pass back. And then Madueke came on, and I've still not seen enough of Madueke off the left wing. But from what I have seen, I'm just not convinced that it is. When Rodrigo's there, I just don't know. Timber came on, very, very solid. I was actually surprised. I thought he'd come on at left back kind of as soon as Ahmad came on for them. But he didn't. Mars Lewis-Skelly came on. Can't believe he got a booking. By the way, the fact that how many players did we end up on bookings? 4 players ended up on bookings for us. Absolutely ridiculous, if you ask me. And Marino came on and kind of saw it out. But look, ultimately, was it our best performance? Absolutely not. Do we need to improve? Absolutely. We've got Leeds at home next, which should be more of a typical Arsenal game in terms of dominating the game. But we came away with 3 points. We came away from a tough game. Once again, our unbeaten run against the Big Six continues. Even when United are poor and we're at our best, you can go to Old Trafford and not get the win. And I do think United are going to be an improved team this season. To be honest with you, like Cunha and Buemo, very, very good. Mason Mount, I thought, had a really good game. I think Dorgu is solid at left wing back. I think Yoro's very good. Like, I do think they're an improved team. So maybe as the season develops and United actually, they're not 15th, they might be, 7th, 8th, 9th. I still don't think they'll be a top 4-5 team. But when they are further up the table, maybe people will be going, okay, actually, you know what? 3 points at Old Trafford, decent result. We'll take it and we'll move on. But yeah, other than that, just relieved. Just absolutely relieved. I appreciate you watching. I hope you have a fantastic Sunday evening or Monday if you're watching this. Normal content will resume. I tell you what, it's 2 weeks till the end of the transfer window. So will there be a final mad push? There's about 7 players we need to sell. So yeah, transfer content will continue. Of course, we'll have the preview for the Leeds game coming up next week, and then we'll have content for that game too. But other than that, I appreciate you watching. I hope you have a fantastic end to the weekend, and goodbye.